Hi, everyone. My name is Anthony Cruz III, and I am the publisher of the Capital Sports Report. I am also the host of the Capital Sports Report Live. Today, as always, my co host is Susan Wade, and she writes for Speed Sport News, Competition Plus, and Auto Week. Today, we have a special guest for you. It's living legend and 16-time funny card champion, John Force. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks for having me. I've heard you've had 9 great shows up to now, so I'm glad to be a part of it.
Us
You
too.
come from very humble beginnings and you built an empire with your race team today. Have you learned it's not always fun to be an emperor?
I don't think I'm an emperor. I'm just a I'm a truck driver that evolved to a drag racer, and I love it. I'm humbled by it. The people that I've grown up with in this sport. I've been out here. Oh, geez. I went to Australia in '75, so and I was racing before that back in the late '60s in high school. So, nope. I'm just John Force, an NHRA drag racer, and I love doing it. And want to keep doing it. My grandkids are coming up. My daughters have driven. Brittany still is, for Flavor Pack and Monster Energy and all the sponsors. But bottom line, my grandkids are coming too. So we'll talk about that in a bit.
With the cost of fuel and just about everything going up today, how are you and the race teams in the NHRA adjusting to that?
Well, nitromethane has gone up over the years, up and down. Haven't seen a big jump yet, but the cost of a container just to get it here is like $3,000 more just for a container to be shipped overseas. But I don't get into that. That's business or it's politics. I don't go down that road. The price of gas, oh boy, it's I just bought some for $6, but then you got diesel fuel, in these 18 wheelers, and we travel with 10 of them across the country, like so many teams do, and that's going to hurt the. So we're chasing money every day, trying to keep this ship afloat. But I've been doing that for the last 40 years.
2 years ago, unfortunately, you made a decision after the first two races to put a halt to your operation. For the fans that don't know, could you talk about how the coronavirus impacted your team? And now you said that you did not want to use your own money to race, but now the last year and this year you're racing back with your sponsorship funding.
Well, let me clarify. When I say I don't want to use my money, I don't have money like Coletta. I don't have money like Schumacher. I've got money in the bank, not like those individuals where they have other businesses that finance, that can help their teams. So my teams have to be funded, like Auto Club, like Chevrolet, Peak, Blue Def. The list goes on and on. Cornwell Tools stepped up with us this year. And so we got a lot of work to do to take care of a lot of different people, working with Chevrolet, because when that pandemic hit, that was a wake-up call because I had to look at it. And luckily, Robert Height, my president, my partner, Robert Height, my family, we're all partners, okay? But we had to look at financially, if it goes down the wrong road, just payroll. I got an $8 million payroll. That could sink me if the money got shut off. You know what I'm saying? How do you keep those people going? You can't promise them jobs. So we made the decision to shut it down. And that was really hard. Living in fear at my age, and I've been on fire from here to Australia. You've heard it.
Yes.
I don't really live in fear, but looking at my age of COVID-19, now it looking like it's passing, it's up and down. So I don't get into all of that, but I looked at financially how to hold this thing together. And we made the decision, and thank God, Robert Hyde, he's an accountant. He was in there with my guy, Johnny Lou, and he was looking at it, where can we go if this thing goes sour? So we went to the sponsors, and we parked it, because it was just a situation where you can't take a chance. NHRA ended up running 9 or 10 races. Everyone was in the same fight as me, but I had this huge, overhead, with 3, I think it was 4 teams at the time. Now the Proc kid's back in the seat. Of course, Brittany, he drives for Montana brand. So we just signed a new company, NK Seeds. I joked about it the other day. I know I'm talking too much. Just tell the young lady there, reach over and slap me if I get out of hand. But hard to win a race, really hard to win a championship. And I used to think it was not easy, but, it just happened. But to find a sponsor is what's really tough. And a guy I raced with 35 years ago, John Powers, he came in with, he was Power Steel. He's helped everybody in racing. And he come on board with us this year. Robert actually brought him, and his company, Power Solar. And we were really lucky to find this to get back on our feet. So a lot of great partners. Like I said, Auto Club, and the list goes on and on. But that's what it takes to stay in business. But, my wife said this to me. We're going down to Verona. They're having a junior dragster race. Hundreds of entries down there. My 2 grandsons were down there. Jacob and Noah. Jacob got to the final twice. They ran 2 races in one day because of weather. He lost in both finals, but he was really pumped. And my wife said on the way home, she said, your whole attitude was like going down here, one personality, coming back. You got life. Because drag racing does that to me. It doesn't matter if it's the pros at 330 or if it's these little kids out there at 70 miles an hour. It pumped me up about the future, where I want to be. And with my age, I'm not going to be driving forever. And I'm not going to be running all this forever. Robert Height basically runs it now. He's president, and he works on a day-to-day basis. I stay in it enough just to be aggravating to him. But in the middle of it, watching those kids, and now Autumn, she come out of junior dragsters, and Torrance, Bobby, he's putting together a deal with Robert to move her up, to another category. My granddaughter is 17 years old. She'll be 18. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, she can drive a top fuel car, but she's got to go through like my girls. They got to go through, they got to move up to the category, A fuel, maybe go to funny car or dragster later if they want. But they love all the other sports too. The stick and ball and all that. So don't know where it's going to go, but I like to think after my career and my children's careers that I could bring something back to the sport and teach new drivers. I got the young Proc kid. I love it. And having him in here, he's really great driver, great interview like Robert Height. And Brittany, already won a championship, and so is Robert, 3 of them. So I'm just sticking around because I love it. And I'll go down out here someday, but it don't matter. It's what I love.
John, Brittany went to a Supercross event, and she announced that the team was coming back last February. When was it that you guys realized that you were coming back for the 2021 season?
Well, I always planned on coming back. It's just that I didn't have any real answers with the pandemic going on, what was really going on.
Okay.
And it was just like, what do you do? So we parked it. But our goal was, I put together a marketing team. Ted, I always pronounce his name wrong. Yeah, Van Zelt. I always say Van Sant. That's an old racing buddy. But Van Zelt come from NASCAR. He's been in IndyCar. He's been in baseball, basketball. He's been everywhere. And he brought a couple others with him. And they've already found some money. They brought the NK Seeds company. It's an agricultural that sells products to farmers, soybean and corn bean stuff I don't know anything about, but it makes their crops grow. And they want to be part of NHRA drag racing. Jayco Trailers is with us. That got my grandkids, Autumn and Jacob and Noah, where they could go racing, yet they could still take the family and barbecue and do stuff in a beautiful trailer, RV trailer. So we found our way back. We're going to find some new money. We're looking every day. But in finding new money, you never want to forget your partners like Auto Club, like Chevrolet, like Peak, who kept me from retirement. God bless them. And as long as I'm driving, they'll keep me around, I hope. So I'm excited. Frank Teagues loves racing. I met him years ago, and he got involved with the two teams that he's involved in. So with Flavor Pack and of course Monster buys half of it, and then Montana Brand. I've been real lucky, real fortunate, and I owe it to God to say thank you. I pray to him twice a day. I don't know if he listens to me or not, but that's a side of me that nobody knows. You know what I mean? And so, nope, we just made up our mind. We're coming back, and Robert led the charge, and here we are.
John, you had to make a very difficult decision when you came back last season. Unfortunately, Austin did not have a ride. You put him on Robert Height's team. But this season, and towards the tail end of last season, you said if Austin had the money, or if you could get the money, Austin will be back. Now he is back racing. How satisfying is it for you to bring the kid back?
To me, it's a matter of keeping my word. I watched his dad, Jimmy, that runs Robert's car, great crew chief. I look at his Proc's mom. I look at these people that they want their boy to race, and I know that I wanted my kids to race. I wanted myself to race, and I brought him in, and then things kind of went sour. Not because of him, he's great, but in the middle of it, I owed to get him back. I can't afford to pay that whole bill. A few years of that, I'd be out of business. Okay, but the point was I owed to bring him back to keep my word. It's about my word. I screw up enough, but I try to keep it right. I always try to entertain. I try to be funny. Sometimes I'm not. But at the end of the day, I wanted that kid back in the seat. And I'm going to keep Brittany in. And if I got to spend some of my own money, I will. I mean, I spent a couple million during the pandemic just to keep it afloat, to keep all my people on. And I had some layoffs. You know what I mean? I went from over 100 people to probably 50. You know what I'm saying? I cut it in half. But there was certain things I just told people, I can't pay. I won't cut your wages, but I'll cut your hours in half. And that's how we ran the company. And of course, we weren't racing. And we were able to hold it off. And it was hard. So when we bounced back, Robert said, we got to build our own marketing team. We hired a headhunter. He went and found us people. And Ted's doing a great job right now. Another kid came to work from us, I think from NASCAR, IndyCar. His name's Hood. And that's my son-in-law. Daniel Hood runs my car. That's Ashley. Ashley runs my TV production company. It's very small, but she gets all the stuff to Sarah and all the stuff that we need, footage, and makes videos and keeps us going. And Sarah's a one-man band. Hey, out there, we're looking to hire somebody right now. You know what I mean? I'll give you my phone number, but I don't know it. But Sarah's, going to interview some people because we got to build it because we're back to 4 teams, and that's too much for her to try to run it all. We do have a girl that shoots some social media in Indy that works for us in our marketing team. So along the way, we got our job cut out for us. And then I got a new grandbaby, Harlan, unbelievable, with Graham and Courtney. And they're over at the house right now. Graham's up in San Francisco doing media or something. But I just went and saw Harlan at lunch. Just beautiful. Makes me happy, keeps me mentally fit. I'm staying in the gym, trying to keep myself in the ball game, and to stay up with these kids. I'm getting beat up by all of them, but I love it. That's where I started. Maybe that's where I'll end up, but there's some more championships left here in this guy, and I'm going to give it all I got.
Well, like in the preseason, you even talk. I hope all this multiple car thing keeps going for you. But you said, well, hey, if things happen, you're not opposed to going down to a 1-car team. Is this? I'm curious about this trend of single car teams. It's the same people, but we are seeing more individual teams. So which may also grow into multiple car teams. But what do you make of all that? And Would you ever really truly go down to one car?
I could tell you going down to 2 wouldn't bother me a bit. I didn't create the multi-car teams. They were out there way before me. I'm standing in the staging lanes at a race, and Bernie Federley walks back, and he says to Coyle and myself, we got to get another team. We're out here with one team, and other guys got a couple cars, and they're able to, to race, and they're able to get all the technology and the runs and all that stuff, and we got nothing to help us. I said, well, I can't afford it. So we went down the road, and that's how Tony Petragon come to be with us. A great young driver. Now he's an announcer. And so in the middle of it, it kind of evolved. And then I got 3 cars, and that didn't make sense. To have 3 funny cars, they kept running into each other. That ain't no good. And so then I went to a dragster, and then pretty soon now I got 2 dragsters, 2 funny cars. No, it's an overload. It makes you have to work 7 days a week. But racing is my hobby. It's all that I do. I don't know how to golf. I don't know how to fish. I don't ride my Harleys anymore, my Hayabusas, my bikes. I got cars in the museum I've never drove. Don't have any time. Wake up on Saturday, you rest when you get a day off. And so, or you go to work. But in the end, I don't want to go out there and beat people because I got 10 race teams. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? I guess you kind of have to look at it, and I don't want to get into political, but it might be like the big debate over men and women, the girl or the guy that won the Olympic swimming thing, or NCAA, or I don't know how to argue that. I don't know nothing about that. I don't make the rules, and I'm not that smart. I'm only saying that if everybody had one car, then probably what I'd do is I'd probably say, okay, because what I do, just throw them away and tell drivers to go home? No, I'd probably say, you're going on your own. You're going to own one of these teams because I don't need it, and I don't need the headache of getting beat up with having too many cars when nobody else does. But that comes and goes over the years. But in the end, I've already talked to Robert and a number of them. Anybody want to run, their own team? You know what I'm saying? But I do have big machine shops, big chassis shops. I have engineers, and I have guys that that write the programs and in our machinery to build the technology that can win. And in the middle of it, you sure don't need all of that. You know what I mean? If you're only going to have one car, if you had 2 cars, look at Torrance. He buys stuff from Alan Johnson, and he beats everybody up. You know what I mean? So how can you argue with that? So it's just I grew over the years, and I was chasing everybody else. And all of a sudden I get there and it's like, well, what am I doing now? Well, I'll have to figure that out. I'm still trying. Did I answer that?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But you're diversifying. You're taking that machine shop and you're doing other things outside of NHRA drag racing with that too, right?
Well, we're trying. We've done some stuff, made parts for IndyCar in a small way, but I don't have the manpower. I never brought them all back. I kept my team small. Even my hospitality right now, I ordered a new trailer to cut the cost from 2 18-wheelers to 1, and I had to build a customized trailer and coach, and then I'll get my chefs back, and I'll get hospitality, for the sponsors. They all want that, and I'll get, for my own teams to cook for them. And but right now we had to cut the costs, and building a trailer, yeah, you spend a lot of money, but you get it right one time, and then it'll work. Having 2 18-wheelers, Schumacher had 5 or 6 down there. I don't know how he does it. Like I said, he's smarter than me. But I'm looking at every way I can how to cut the cost, and in the end, still win. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. And if Robert couldn't win, or Daniel Hood, or Fabrizi, or Jimmy Prock, or Cunningham, Grubnick, Barlam, all these people, Savage, if they couldn't win, I finally named all my crew chiefs, except for Tober. God bless you. But what I'm saying is, they all want to win. That's what it's really all about. So I'm going to keep trying to make this possible. I know Don has downsized, but I want to mention here, Don Schumacher, the sport owes you. You took your own money, you got sponsors, you financed multi-teams. Yeah, he's cut it all back, but he's out there with his boy. that's his name. That's where he wants to be. And I say, God bless him for all he's done to build teams and help these guys like Antron and Tony Stewart. I love having Tony Stewart coming into sport. That is really great. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to help grow our sport. And, he's a real racer. He's done it all. So he gets it. So in the middle of it, he's even bought some stuff from us, canopies for the dragsters and stuff. But we're seeing where we're going to go down the road. But I built for other types of motorsports, and we'll see where it goes. But I don't focus on that because a lot of this technology comes from Chevrolet that we do, and how can I pass it out to everybody where they beat me with it? You know what I'm saying? And they beat me every week. Thank God for Robert Height.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Trip Tatum, when he won at Gainesville, he said, hey, here's a little fun fact that maybe people don't know about, but Aaron Brooks, who was the crew chief for his final round opponent, Doug Foley, he said, Aaron's shop is only 100 yards from mine. He comes over and works on my car in the evenings, so he beat the guy who's been helping him. So, and you always said Tony Pedregard was like hiring your own assassin. So it happens out there, right? Anyway, I think I interrupted Anthony.
Aaron Brooks and those guys you're talking about, and Tripp. I knew his dad well, but just to have him coming into the sport, I think it's awesome. And look at the shakeup at Gainesville. I almost didn't qualify. If there'd been one more car, I think I ended up 14th. We were struggling. We're trying to make our cars faster, and we only got one run. So in the middle of it, but Daniel Hood's doing a great job. But what's unique about my people, that if one car gets in trouble, they help the other car. That's what's good about a multi-car team. So a dragster can help the dragster, and the funny cars can help the funny cars when they get in trouble. Because sponsors, they don't want excuses. Frank Teagues, he wants to win. That's what it's all about. And so does all the sponsors. Tom McKerna, the list just goes on and on. And so in the middle of it, it's good to have that camaraderie where they'll help each other. We'll get our car back on track. And Robert, he's already flying. And Brittany, she's fast every week. We got to look at John Force Racing overall. We've had some breakage, and we've got to stop the breakage. But that's part of testing and learning. And, races, you only get 3 runs, but everybody else gets the same amount of runs. Can't complain about that. But we'll see where it goes.
John, before we go on to the next question, I would like to bring up this video.
Indisputably greatest ever. Get ready to lock horns here in Seattle. Will this be the moment that John Force closes the chapter on 150 wins? They leave within 0.02 of a second. Force is the car length out, and at the finish line, it's John Force for the 150th time in the greatest career in NHRA history. He's done it. It is never easy to predict John Force's emotional state when he climbs out of a race car. Is it relief? Is it satisfaction? Or is it tears? We're going to find out when he pulls his helmet off here in a moment. But for everyone that sat here to watch this drag race this weekend, to all of you watching at home, you've seen something that we may never, ever see again in the sport of NHRA drag racing, a 150th career victory.
Don't let anybody tell you matter. Lately. I'm sorry. Come here. I love you. Love you too. The best right here.
The raw emotion of John Force pouring out.
Don't screw you up. I've been screwed up for 25 races. And God, I'm glad that monkey's gone. Where is that monkey? I love that monkey now. But,
the words
hey,
flowing like a river, and we apologize if some of those hit you the wrong direction, but that's John Force. And Jamie Howe is right there at ground zero with him. Good luck with this, Jamie.
And Ron Capps was the one that put the winner hat on his head. 150 wins for John Force, right on the lips for Ron Capps. John, how do you explain the success that you've been able to enjoy?
Because I surround myself with the greatest people, the greatest sponsors with Peak and Auto Club and Chevrolet and Advanced Auto Parts and CarQuest. And and of course Montana brand. I got a young kid coming here right now. But what I've done is taken their money and bought the best people. Brian Karate, my son-in-law Daniel Hood, and Fabrizi in this team got me this win. And I've been struggling, but there's a lot of other guys that have got me this win. So I just want to say, to all the guys that were part of 150, you're all part of my life. But I want to tell you, Austin Coyle, I love you. You stood by me, called me every week, said I was screwed up, but I could still drive. God bless you, you and Bernie Federley. We finally made it. It's 150, and I'm over the
John, as you hold up that Wally, there is a special Wally here. That was your first one, 1987 Montreal.
John, can you talk about getting 150 that day in Seattle?
Yep, it was a great feeling, and Proc came right behind me and won in his first ever race in the Top Fuel Dragster. So, but like I said, it was people. I go back with Steve Pluger. Larry Frazier was the crew chief that ran my cars, for years with Mountain Dew and different sponsors. Bernie Federley, Austin Coyle. I mean, the list it goes on and on. People don't even know some of the guys that have tuned for me. I even tried tuning, that didn't work. But, we came up through it. Bob Fisher was one of my crew members, drove the truck like me, worked on the car. It was a great time we all had. We loved it. But when you look at probably the guy that took me, it was when Austin Coyle took over. And he said to me once, I said, it's been 2 years, we haven't won a race. He said, yeah, and you told me you had $1 million. And so that teach me for fibbing to him. But, in the end, it was just the people around me, and that's what I have now. I have great people like Grubnick, an Australian. I got Jimmy Proc. Daniel Hood, the list goes on and on. Now Tolber's joined us, and Barlam and all these guys, and Cunningham. So I'm excited where we're going. And what's really exciting is people don't understand it. If they beat you down and you fail, you never had it. Okay? Long as you don't let them beat you down mentally. You may not win, but as long as you live it and you love it, that is really what the dream's all about. And if you work hard enough, you'll make it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way I've always been. I live the sport. I watched my own grandson, Jacob, out at Verona last week, and just watching him congratulating, the guy that beat him and all this stuff. And that's what it's all about, being part of it. And man, I come home that night, I was ready to go bankrupt. I told my wife, I'll spend every penny keeping this thing afloat. I don't want to retire. At my age, I ain't going to make it a retirement well, I passed retirement about 20 years ago. But I do it because I love it. I'm still good at what I do. I can win championships. I can win races. I went on after that. I think I won 4 more. So I'm not done yet. But like, this car is not hard to drive. This thing is really, learning it and all of that. But I always joke I could drive it blindfolded. But it's not like NASCAR and IndyCar where you're out there for 2 or 3 hours. I'm out there for seconds. And all I got to do is live by, last week people go, how do you even pedal that car that fast? Getting it down the racetrack. I said, I never think about pedaling it. My foot just doesn't when it feels something's wrong, and it just kind of happens. But so many drivers are that way. So I've been really lucky. I just got to get this car right. My crew chiefs will. And I'm going to get after it. We're going to 4 wide I've won the inaugural 4 wide. I think I did, years ago in Charlotte. We're going to that, and I'm excited. And my grandkids will all be up there, Autumn and Jacob and Noah, all of them watching, So anyway, I love it. I got to keep a lid on me when I get out of a car and I'm wound up and crazy. Sometimes I get stupid and don't even know where I'm at. I'm lost, brains fried. But I owe a lot to this sport and a lot of respect, and I love it. And I want NHRA to keep working hard. I want Cromwell and his group, whatever it takes, let's survive. That's what it's all about. And I want to thank Bruton Smith and his son Marcus. Bruton built the 4 wides, in Las Vegas and in Charlotte. Spent his money, you know what I mean? Or he borrowed it, but I know he's got plenty of money. But he did it to build us these mega stadiums.
that the fans can go and watch not 2 cars, not 40,000 horsepower. You know what I mean? It's double that. 2 cars, but it's 4 cars. And just for those couple of weekends, that's spectacular. I love it. When I get beat, I go watch it. People go, haven't you had enough? No, I just want to watch it because I love it. So just like I'll have to come back and watch your show to see how stupid I got.
Oh, you're good. So, John, there's a comment on here. Hopefully you can read it. It says, NHRA needs to give back to the fans with the price of groceries and fuel. There isn't going to be any fans at the tracks, including the race cars. What's your thoughts on that? How could they maybe help with this inflation that's going on right now?
I've been with meetings with them, but they're trying to stay alive too. There's a lot going out there, money cuts, different things. Look, these people aren't stupid, and they're not just thinking every day. They know they need the fans, or we don't exist. We don't have what NASCAR and IndyCar has, a TV that they're paid to run their race so they can televise it. They built their own production company, NHRA did, and it really does a good job. They had rain down there in Florida, Gainesville, for 2 days, and yet I watched the show, and what I'm saying is, that took a lot of work to put that thing together to try to keep it moving when we sat for days in the rain. So look, there's pros and cons. Nobody's perfect. I'm not even close to normal. I won't use the word perfect. I'm not even close to normal, but I do my best. And I think that they're trying to give them a better show. We're going to have 4 runs at Gainesville. At 4 wide at Bruton Smith's track. And thank you, Bruton. Love you to death for what you and your son has done, Marcus, for our sport. And that's why I feel I owe it to be here. Every time I think, maybe I ought to retire, that comes and it's gone, because this is where I want to be. I love sitting here in front of you folks. So you're trying to put a product out there. You're trying to put us out there and build our sport. And I thank both of you for that.
Thank you. In October, there was a huge announcement of changing some teams around, changing some major pieces around, I'll say, that Leah Pruitt and Matt Hagan were joining Tony Stewart Racing, also now known as TSR Nitro. What are your thoughts on Tony Stewart, the NASCAR legend, coming into the NHRA and giving it a boost this season? You previously touched on it a little bit, but could you touch on it more on how he has impacted the NHRA in just a few races in a few months so far?
Well, first of all, I said it earlier about Tony Stewart, great racer. He runs different tracks. He runs his own road racing thing. He's got 2 great drivers. He married the one little lady there, Pritchett, and maybe I'm Pruitt. Okay, I get the wrong name. And you can't get better than Matt Hagan, and been trained by the Schumacher squad, and they're ready to fight the fight. And anytime you start out with new teams like I've got, we're going to struggle for a while. Everyone struggles, but Tony Stewart, he gets it. He's going to be great for our sport. He's going to bring other sponsors into the sport, because once he brings in the ones he's got, other sponsors are going to look and say, wait a minute, that's where maybe that's where I need to be. Tony Stewart was there, and let me tell you, I don't know what he's thinking, but he's a pretty sharp cookie. I don't know him very well. I've never been out with him, never had a drink with him, but what I'm saying is he's a sharp cookie, and he's got there's great competition right in there. Hagan won last week, you know what I mean, at Gainesville, and his gal, she knows how to win. They just got to get that team going, and they will, because that's the way it's done. So hey, I want to say hi to Bobby Bennett. Can I? I promised him I'd say hi on your show. God bless.
Sure. You've got family in IndyCar, and you've got loads of friends over in NASCAR, and I don't know how much you get to follow those series, but at the last race in IndyCar, Jack Harvey had he had a crash, and I guess they all wear sensors in their helmet that measure the think it's an accelerometer is what they call it, that measures the G-forces. I mean, they have different kinds of accidents than we have in drag racing, but do you think there's something that could transfer over to NHRA with maybe sensors in the helmet that will help us cut down on concussions and things like that? You've probably you've dealt with concussions before, so what do you think about that deal with Jack Harvey and the sensors in the helmet?
Graham told me about what was going on because we follow his race, and my wife loves it, and we pray that he's safe. You know, he's got a new baby girl to get home to, Harlan, and a wife, my daughter Courtney. But they understand it, and it's scary out there sometimes. But what he told me, what had happened, they have instant data right there, like having a black box in an airplane. You got instant data. Where with us, when I get whacked in the head, you know, I go right to the doctor to be checked, especially at my age. I can't take too many hits to the head. My mother dropped me on my head when I was a newborn. True story. I've fallen off a few bar stools and hit my head. Okay. And I've had a lot of crashes. So in the midst of it, when it comes to my head, I don't take no chances. I've been down to Miami. I've had the head, screened. I've done it all, been through it all. And yeah, I got some knots on me, but I'm still alive and got approved to go racing. But yeah, we have to look at how we grow that. That is a big expense, but if I haven't thought about that much. You caught John Force off guard there, Susan. But that's a good idea because I remember the head restraints. When I first put them on, I hated it and I took them off. And now, of course, I wear braces on my knee, on my ankle, sometimes on my wrist if it gets out of place because I broke them all. And sometimes, if I get too overactive jumping a fence like Seattle, boy, I can't even walk for 2 days. So technology, the growth, we definitely need it. Definitely need it.
Well, it's been 15 years. 2007 was a horrible year for so many reasons. We lost Eric. You had your big accident. Wally Parks passed away. A lot of things happened that year, but I think some good has come out of all those horrible things. What do you think about in 15 years, the sport is safer?
Well, in our camp with Eric, loved him dearly. Austin Coyle, Bernie, everybody knew what we had to do. I had to spend money, but it was John Medlin that led the charge. That was his boy. And we had the Army. I guess Schumacher got the Army people to come talk about helmets. And we got into building, chassis different and went through a process. And now it's ongoing. I just built a new canopy because some of the canopies are smaller and the requirements from certain companies that make cushions for head protection says there's got to be so much protection. Yet you can't get it if you got a small roll cage or you got a big head like me. So in the middle of it, we had to change our cars. We built new canopies. We've been selling a lot of them. We paid for it because we want the safety. Anything that we build that's safety, like manifolds, we have to sell to everybody and we want to. Canopies, we have to sell because we need to protect people for safety. Don't want to necessarily give them performance, and I may be forced to do that, but hell, they're all outrunning me right now. Well, not outrunning Brittany and Robert Height, but what I'm saying is we'll fix it in time, but we'll see where all that goes. I don't know. I'm just excited that I'm back in the seat, last year and back in the seat this year, and I feel really good about it, and I feel really good. I keep myself on vitamins. I just started the Balance of Nature. Okay. I'm watching too much news channels. Yeah. The Balance of Nature. I'm trying to do everything to eat right. You'll see me standing on a corner eating a head of lettuce. People go, "What's wrong with you?" What is that? Because I got to get lettuce in me. I got to get some vegetables. So I go buy a head of lettuce because it's easy. I don't eat it all, but I eat some of it just to get it. Right. And so I'm taking on these Balance of Nature. Let's see if that can help this old guy.
Good for you.
John, the NHRA has not had a death. You talked about Eric. We lost Scott Coletta. What more can car builders, the NHRA, and the teams do to make these cars even safer than they already are today?
Well, they're doing it. They're looking at things. There was a lot of stuff went on. I spent $2 or $3 grand buying something that bolts on the front of my dragster where they could test it to see how it was, what it was doing, torque or something. If Robert was here, he'd explain all of it. But then after we did it, they told me to take it off because a lot of racers felt it was an advantage. And I'm like, to my crew chiefs, was it an advantage? Yeah, it could tell us what it's doing wrong. I think it was a torque thing or something. But we got to abide by the rules. You know what I mean? But I can use it in testing to learn about the car, what it does. But we give that information to NHRA. They're trying hard, to figure this out just like we are. And then they go to, to the group, that does all the evaluations on car. Murph McKinney works with that group, and they all try to build a better race car. And sometimes you want a car that has traction, so you change it a little bit to get it to bend, and then it breaks in half and flies all up in the air. And we got to watch it, and we all got to just be honest and tell what we do, that if we go the wrong way, if something fails, we need to be honest about it so we can help others, because we don't want any more. If you look at our sport, it really is safe. If you look at the losses we've had over the years, it's nothing compared to a lot. We have made it better. And Simpson, like a lot of the builders, builds a great helmet, a better helmet. You know what I'm saying? Because they all wanted to make their helmets better to protect people. The neck restraints, the fire suits, the onboard extinguishers, everything that we have to protect us, putting cameras in our car so we could see where the fire came from. You know what I mean? They'd ask me, and I'd say, "Are you kidding?" I was so busy screaming and had my eyes closed. I'm joking. But I don't know where it comes from. It's just there. So we've learned so much, and that will continue. You know what I'm saying? I mean, NHRA came up with a thing. I know it made some people mad, but we want your parachute, a part of it that comes out to be a certain color. Why do they need it a certain color? Well, think about it. So if they're out there at night and one falls off a car, they can see it at night. If it's black, you can't see it. But if it's, what color do they make them? Orange or yellow? Orange. I'm sorry, Sarah has to walk me through here. My boss here has to walk me through all these interviews. So in the middle of it, just so they could spot it, everyone's trying. Nobody wants to lose nobody. It's heartbreaking. You know what I'm saying? And so I give the credit to leading that charge to John Medlin, and it was his son. He just wanted better safety for everyone. John Medlin's really a good man. And him and Guido and Caps, congratulations on that championship.
We had a fan submit this question for you. Unfortunately, tracks are going away today. We had Old Bridge Township Raceway Park go away. You had Joliet go away. Atlanta go away last year. And then this year, after Houston this year, Houston will go away. What should everybody do about that going forward so we don't lose any more tracks?
Well, there ain't much you can do about it. Change is part of life. You know what I'm saying? But the city grows up around you. Even if you build a racetrack way out miles away from the city, one day that's why they build airports way out. And then the city's coming that way. You can't stop growth. You know what I'm saying? So what you have to look at is, if you're going to build a track, there's a guy building a new one down in Mississippi. I mean, it's quite a spread. I've been looking at it. I don't know where it's at. I know that they're talking about for the tracks that we might lose. Englishtown broke my heart. I loved Englishtown. I grew up there watching Jungle Jim. I didn't live there, but when you went to race across country, you didn't get on a plane and fly home. You lived there for weeks till the next race come around. And that's how I learned how to talk New Jerseyan. But it happens. I don't understand Lafayette or Jolene, Chicago. I don't understand that. A huge facility like that. They say they're going to be running some divisionals this year, and I'm praying it won't go away, but who knows? But we're going to get Tulsa. I think it's coming. And there's a couple other tracks they've been talking to.
that we need to go to. So NHRA is on top of that. I can't go out and make those deals. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, my dream is to build me a track one day. That was always my dream, and I'd live there. I'd build a house on it, and that's when my wife Lori will leave me. But I'd like to be at the racetrack every day, and because I just feel that's where I belong. I go home and I feel lost. I wander around the yard and people go, "That guy's crazy." Neighbors go, "He just walks around in the middle of the night," because I don't know where to go. So you don't want to hear all this. Sarah's walking away. She's heard enough. She's had enough.
Hey,
Somebody must have called her and said, "Get John off this show. We're tired of listening to him." Okay.
No, we're good.
Al
I
Unser
haven't
lived
cussed,
in,
not once. Not once.
I was gonna say Al Unser lived in the middle of a junkyard. His house was in a junkyard. He liked to build and whatever. And hey, what better place to live, right? So
Yep.
John, you briefly touched on this. Do you have any interest owning a racetrack? You said you would like to.
Yeah, I love racetracks. I go down there to Verona, and I stood down there and I looked at this track. Even if I couldn't afford a big one, but I know I could get the money to build it. I've got backers that would help me fund it, and I've got some of my own money. But I got to wait and see where this pandemic all gets cleaned up, see where NHRA, where they take this to the next level, and then I'll consider it if I retired. But I'm not planning on getting out of the seat. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to drive this thing until I can't. You know what I'm saying? Now, as long as I can be competitive, as long as I can still talk and yell and scream and get the word out and sell products and sponsors want to pay me and peak, they like me. As long as I stay in the seat. And, I could have retired back when I left before, but they chose, nope, we want this guy. And it got really great. Tom Hervis, he's a guy, he's 10 years older than me, but he'll out-talk me. He built Old World Industries. It's a huge worldwide company. So as long as he wants me around, I'm going to stay in the seat. So that's what I'm doing. And I still get a kick out of getting in that car. When they fire that motor, man, I come alive. Header fire out the pipe, big smoky burnouts. You know what I mean? Trying to beat the competition, not just men, but now women and young kids out there that are hired guns. You know what I mean? And it's just awesome. And then to see the new guys like Ron Capps, like Tony Stewart, like Antron Brown getting their own teams in drag racing. That's what's going to grow us. And I'm going to do what I can to bring new drivers in. And if my grandchildren choose, then I'm going to be here to help them.
Well, that's a really good point about, you are helping. Mike Salinas is out there sponsoring, more than a dozen junior dragster kids. And what if there's a kid who has no connection, no family in drag racing? How do they get started? How do they get their foot in the door if they want to do something? What would you say to them?
I actually got a call from a guy that wanted my daughter Brittany, some rich guy out of the Charlotte area, sold his business, and he wants his daughter to race. Don Hawk called me. He's a good friend of mine. And Don Hawk from Dale Earnhardt was with him in the heydays as his agent. And then he went on with Bruton Smith. But he said, could your daughter? I said, I don't want no money, but I don't have the time to do that. But if wants to have a meeting when we're in Charlotte and talk to my daughter, Brittany, that can tell him about coming up, what you got to go through. But you got to stay in school, got to get an education, learn about the computer so you can help your crew chief. My crew chiefs won't even let me in the trailer. They won't let me on the starting line at Verona. Daniel Hood and Robert Hyde, they don't get out there trying to teach our kids. That's what they want to do themselves. So, but I wish I could help everybody I can. I'm trying to keep my ship afloat and keep my own grandchildren in. Autumn, she'll move up in the ranks. Robert's going to see to that. Of course, my daughter, Adra, that's her daughter. And I know that they will look at that. But they all got to make those decisions. They got to get through school first and get into college like my girls did. My daughters all got, their degrees from school. And I went to college for one day. And I ran out of gas at lunch. I never got back. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So
Hey, there's a big future out there. The one thing drag racing does have, it's got a great product because it isn't like NASCAR and IndyCar. Anybody can do this. Go get your mom's car. I know I snuck my mom's Buick Wildcat. That's a Chevrolet General Motors brand. My 55 Chevy ran out of gas on the way to Lions drag strip, and I went back and snuck my mom's Buick out and went down and won a trophy. Okay, and I was just like, 18 years old, whatever I was. And I got home that night, and I heard by the little trailer house in Bell Gardens, I heard the chainsaw. And my dad knew how to get to me. And I built a surfboard in wood shop because I was a surfer. I wasn't very good. I loved going and going out there with the great white, but I never knew they were out there back in those days. I don't even go in the water anymore. But at chainsaw, he cut my surfboard in half. And I love him to death, but he broke my heart. But he said, you don't ever take your mom's car. You know what I mean? And she was gone working at Denny's on the late shift, so I went to the drag strip. And that's another story. I'm sticking to it. It's all in my book. If the book ever gets published, I've written it. I've turned down deals to do it because I can't finish it. The movie script's already been written. I can't finish it. It is finished. Ashley took that over and said, Dad, but every time I go to end with a win or something, one of my kids win. I can't get off this train. But while we're at it, with what's going on around the world, let's take a minute, and I won't do it now. I'm not a reverend, but let's pray for these people. Ukraine, don't know who's right or wrong. I got my opinion, okay? But let's pray for them. There's a lot of families and children that are in trouble, and like I said, I won't get into politics. Policemen, firemen, military, first responders, love you for getting us through the pandemic. God bless all of you, and let's God bless America. Hey, how's that? 5 more minutes, it'll be a 1-hour show.
Well, amen to all that. Number one. Number two, I got a question for you. I'm dying to ask you. NHRA, you're talking about taking things to the next level. Glenn Cromwell told Auto Week that they're in preliminary talks of some kind about getting into the sports gambling scene. Now, if they do that, that would certainly, it probably bring a lot of eyeballs new to the sport. But on the other hand, I think NHRA would have to take a hard look at a lot of things about, like, they'd have to have some kind of penalties about not taking dives, or they would, have to. And also, what the advantage of a multiple car team might go away. Like if you can't help your teammates out, that maybe, I don't know. Is that good or bad in sports gambling?
If you can't help each other, why have them? But here's the bottom line. I don't get into all of that. I see gambling now. It's trying to go into football, or maybe it already has. I mean, look at Brady.
Brady.
He retired, and they sold his helmet for $500,000. I mean, his football or something.
Football, yes.
Now he's having to buy it back or something. But look, if it's a way to generate revenue, why not? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know how all that works. And a lot of things I think is a great idea. Other people think it's terrible. So you got to balance it, like balance of nature. It's not even a sponsor, but I'm pitching it. But what you got to do is you got to balance the world. And let me tell you something. That's a pretty hard job to do, because, you're never going to make everybody happy. No matter how hard you try, I do something and someone will say, that was great. Another person will say, that was terrible. Mm-hmm. And so the next time I don't do it, and then they go, man, you were terrible. What was wrong with you today? How do I make you happy? I do the best I can. And I fail a lot, but I do love it, and I do it from the heart, and I never try to hurt anybody, ever. I just want to have fun. So what they do with gambling, I don't know. I don't gamble. I'm not that smart. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe you are smart if you don't gamble. Maybe you are smart.
Yeah.
So
I gamble when I'm on that racetrack, and when I'm at Vegas this week, looking up at that 4 lanes and trying to figure all that out. You know what I'm saying? That is going to be a ball. I can't wait to get there.
John, before we go to the next question, I would like to play another video, which
Make
it
it
just
short.
happens to be your last win.
I'm ready.
You called it, Tony. You waited him out. Force was in very deep. J.R. Todd takes a good starting line advantage, but he smokes the tires. And John Force, for the 154th time on a Sunday, has driven through hell and come out victorious.
And it's almost as like he just won his first, guys. John, you are the owner of 154 of these. For the first time in 7 years, you're going to leave the racetrack the points leader. In this season, John, what are your goals?
I want to thank all my sponsors for giving me a chance. You know, the Peaks, you know, the whole group, Auto Club, Monster, Cornwell, Frank Teague's Flavor Pack, all these people that make all this possible on this race car, Chevrolet. But I want to say something. People keep asking me every week, what do I really want? What do I really want? I want to see Indy packed again. That's what I want to see from the hood of my car when I'm in there on race day, because that's what we live for. The crowds. It ain't just winning. If you win and nobody's there, it doesn't matter. And we had a good crowd here today, so we'll go to Brainerd. But Indy, get off them couches. Get out there. You're not dead yet. And don't let the old man in.
So, John, you have 154 wins. Your last championship was 2013. What is your expectations? Is it to get back and win another championship this season?
Well, first thing I'm going to start doing is reading the NHRA rule book, because I took the points lead, and that was a couple years back, and I was in the middle of the season, and then I started driving over center lines because I don't like to lift. I like to push it right there to the edge, and I got a center line. Okay, no big deal. And I get back and I find out they just took away points from you, and I thought, when did that rule come in? So I need to focus on what the rules are, because you can't push it too far to get that win if it takes points away from you. So I, still at my age, I'm still learning. And, but I want to keep doing it, and I love it. I got the energy. I want to see the fans from the window. I love Indy, and we were heading to Indy, and I wanted to pack it in. We'd had the pandemic the year before, and I wanted to pack it in is all I wanted. And I could have my dates mixed up. I don't know. But I love seeing it, and I love Indy. That's my shops are there in Brownsburg, and a lot of friends, most of my employees live there, and their families. So want to win Indy, want to win more championships. I'm not doing this. If I didn't believe I could win, and all I got to do is get my stuff together, and I can. And if I couldn't do it, that's when I'll quit.
Speaking of that, how long do you think you can keep going at your age? We've seen the Greek go to like he's 88, 89. You had Luigi Novelli going through his 80s. What's your plan, John?
I'm going to do it as long as I wake up in the morning and I have the love. And, I've had guys that have retired said, hey, one day, but I stand there and I look at Gartlett's 90 years old and he looks beautiful. He's perfect. I said, I don't get it. Boy, I'm beat up and I'm tired. I got to pound coffee to get up. You know what I'm saying? Monster energy. But at the end, he does what he does because he loves it. And he said, God has treated me good, kept me healthy. He said, longevity. And, and he's still doing what he loves to do, still playing with them race cars. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm getting ready to sign another contract. I'm going to move it out another 3 years or better. But, and there'll be a retirement tour someday, or I'll just get out of the car and go jump the fence. If you remember years ago, I was driving a truck and I pulled into Pomona Fairgrounds. I was outside on the street and I'm seeing all this racing, and I tried to climb the fence, and Steve Gibbs caught me, and I've been paying for it ever since. And you can't climb in, you can't sneak in. Didn't have no money, didn't even know where to go get a ticket. I just wanted to watch some racing. And went and got back in my truck and left. So I love it. That's what I want to do. What was the question? I forgot.
How much longer do you think you'll go?
As long as I can do it, because I love it. And
and I can do the job good. It ain't fair to these teams. They work this hard if I can't deliver. And let me tell you, I'm fighting all these young kids that are really good out there. That's why they talk about me. He's jumping in on that tree, putting out bulbs, doing all that. Half the time, I don't even mean to do it. I just get all amped up, and I got to get after him. I mean, you take a guy like Hagan, Robert Height, they look like the Hulk. You know what I mean? I can't beat him on the starting line. And hell, you look over here, just so many kids out there that are just really good. You know what I mean? But I have experience. That's what gives me things on a loose track. I know where I'm going to go if it's in trouble, and they do too. But when you got double the experience of everybody, and I think I got double. I got more hours in a funny car, more laps than anybody can imagine. So I'm taking that knowledge and trying to apply it to keep me in the game. So anyway, I was really upset when Brady quit. I didn't even want to go down that road. Like, why is he doing this to me? And he's half my age. But he didn't quit. He came back.
He did,
So,
yes.
Good for him. And you know, I'm an LA Ram fan because LA's where I grew up with the Rams before they went to St. Louis. But I really like Brady because they pushed on the age and stuff that he was accomplishing. But everybody gets replaced. Even John Force, if I haven't been replaced already, but I'm not done driving.
Well, there are a million more. We don't want you to go anywhere, but I know you have to go now. But there are a million more questions, so hopefully you'll come back and join us another time.
Have me back anytime you want. Sarah will set me up. But I appreciate you guys bringing a new concept in, bringing in new stuff, new faces to all of this. Even though you've been around, you'll find a new market. That's what it's all about. And you sponsors out there, spend some money, help these kids make this show grow here.
Thank you. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today, John. So outside of being on Facebook and YouTube right now, this will be uploaded on Rumble and BitChute and be transitioned into a podcast on anchor.fm. John, do you have any last questions for the audience before we go?
Love the sport, love the fans, love the sponsors, love the media. And at the end of the day, don't let the old man in. Get off that couch and get exercising. You'll live a lot longer. That's what I'm doing.
Thanks again for your time today, John. Good luck in Las Vegas, and we'll see you at a track this season.
Amen.
Thanks.
Love you, Susan.
Thank you. Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.